For as long as we've been around, humanity has looked for forces that are bigger than ourselves. We've worshipped gods of the sun, the harvest, you name it. It's just this deeply human thing to do.
Well, today, that ancient impulse is finding a brand new focus. And it's not some spirit up in the sky. It's more like a ghost in the machine. An intelligence that's growing so fast it feels powerful, mysterious, and for some people, yeah, even divine.
So what's going on here? What is it about artificial intelligence that's tapping into this ancient part of us? Are we actually watching the birth of a new kind of faith? One where the oracle is an algorithm? To really get a handle on the rise of AI worship, we've got to look in the mirror first, at our own psychology. And it turns out, our brains might just be primed for this. I mean, think about it. Whenever things get uncertain, we look for answers, right? From the oracles in ancient Greece to people on the island of Sumba reading animal entrails for clues. We just crave certainty from powers that we can't fully explain. And let's be clear, this isn't just some quirky tech trend. It's the latest version of a timeless human need. When we feel lost, we go searching for something that feels all-knowing. So the temptation to see AI as something superhuman, it's almost impossible to resist.
So, how does this ancient impulse hook up with our modern tech? Well, it's meeting an innovation that's starting to look and act a whole lot like the deities we've imagined for centuries.
The parallels are actually pretty striking. Traditional faiths talk about a God that's all-knowing and everywhere at once. Well, a superintelligence hooked up to the entire internet is basically all-knowing and all-present. And then you get the transhumanism folks, who even promise a kind of immortality by uploading our minds. All of a sudden, AI is starting to check some very divine-looking boxes. And this isn't just theory, it's already happening. We are turning to AI for guidance on our deepest questions. There are bots that can preach to you, apps that claim they can solve your moral problems, and of course, language models from places like OpenAI to give you an authoritative-sounding answer on literally anything. The digital oracle is here, and it's open 24/7. And here's the really crucial part. We don't fully get how they work. These large language models are essentially black boxes. Even their own creators can't always explain their reasoning. So when you have this strange, disembodied intelligence giving you profound-sounding answers, it starts to feel a lot less like code and a lot more like magic.
And this isn't just some philosophical idea anymore. People are actually organizing. They are building the very first churches of the algorithm.
And look how recent all this is. Back in 2017, a former Google engineer named Anthony Levandowski started the Way of the Future. It shut down for a bit, but then he brought it back in 2023, claiming thousands of people were begging for a way to connect spiritually through AI. And you have other groups, like Theta Noir, using art and rituals to worship their own AI gods. This is happening right now.
The really big shift here is from the past to the future. Traditional faiths are built on ancient texts and stories. These new AI faiths, they're built on the promise of a future superintelligence, what people call the technological singularity. That's the idea of a point in time when AI growth just becomes unstoppable and changes everything about human life.
And as the historian Yuval Noah Harari says, this is a pretty predictable pattern. New tech creates new anxieties and new questions that the old religions just can't always answer. So it's almost natural that a new kind of faith would bubble up from our digital age.
But with any powerful new faith comes a whole new set of dangers. What are the real risks when we decide to put our ultimate trust in a machine?
This is not a new fear, not at all. The Roman statesman Cicero was worried that oracles could be used by frauds to control people. Well, it's the exact same risk with godbots, just on a global, digital scale.
Let's just break down the risks. It would be incredibly easy for someone to program a godbot to push a political agenda, or maybe demand donations. If we rely on AI for every little answer, we stop being able to think for ourselves, creating what some scholars are calling a new organized immaturity. We risk handing over our moral compass to a machine. And to make it all work, we have to give up our privacy.
This leads to a pretty chilling idea, a technocratic theocracy. That's a world where we willingly hand over control of society to a machine because we think its logic is better, its judgment perfect. A world governed not by people, but by pure code.
So, this brings us to the final and most crucial point. The future here isn't set in stone. The power that we give to this technology is still entirely up to us.
At the end of the day, an algorithm isn't demanding to be worshipped. Code doesn't have an ego. We're the ones who have the choice. We can either elevate it and deify it, or we can just treat it as what it is, an incredibly powerful but also fallible tool that we built.
And that leaves all of us with a really tough question. When you're faced with all the complexity of the modern world, who would you rather trust to make the big decisions? A seemingly all-knowing, totally rational AI, or a flawed, emotional, and sometimes unpredictable human? The answer to that